Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to share with you all about brand deals and basically why I try not to do a lot of brand deals anymore. I'm going to talk through like the industry as a whole, as well as what it takes for you as a content creator to create that content, and then the time that it takes to also kind of nurture these brand deals so that you guys can understand where you should actually spend your time. As a content creator, you're creating content, so there's so many different places that you can kind of squirrel and spend your time. So I'm going to talk all about sponsored brand deals, and as a content creator, why you should or should not pursue this depending on what your skill set and what you really want to do. So stay tuned, I'm going to talk all about it. Alright, so I've had my lifestyle blog for quite some time now. I started it back when I first got married about 10 years ago, and it basically morphed into this lifestyle slash motherhood blog. And I'm going to be honest with you, brand deals helped furnish my house back in the day. So we actually moved to a new house and I had no furniture in it. And with this blog that actually started out as a personal blog. So the brand deals that I generally have done have been for my lifestyle blog. And that lifestyle blog is a motherhood slash DIY blog. It actually didn't start out that way. It started out as a blog about our house's garden, okay, at the time. We had lived on like 5 acres. We had this huge garden, and somehow like my photography clients, yes, I did family photography on the side, they found out about my personal blog and started following me, and then it morphed into this blog that I talked about things I was doing as a country bumpkin out in the country, like with this half-acre garden, right? And then it morphed into this like DIY project because my husband was doing projects around the house and we were showcasing like how he was doing these projects. Anyway, as I started to learn that you could actually monetize blogs, I learned all about the world of sponsored blog posts, and it was really new to me at the time. I actually had a friend who I worked with who basically told me, hey, you can do sponsored posts, and I didn't understand what that meant. So I want to share with you guys, like, if people aren't telling you these things with sponsored brand deals, it's because like it's almost like this secret exclusive club, if you will. My path to brand deals actually got started when a friend told me that you could monetize a blog. Really, that was it. She opened me up to this world of like blogging and learning about how you can do ads that are within a post. So instead of like writing posts that I thought people would find, now what I was trying to focus my time on was landing these brand deals. She taught me all these things about pitching yourself in emails. Most of the brand deals that I generally land are for my lifestyle blog, which is a motherhood and DIY blog. And I'm going to tell you that it actually helped me furnish my house when we got started. And I'm not even joking. Like, I got rugs, I got shutters, I had bedspreads. Like, it was insane how I could land these brand deals where they were sending me product. Some of them would send me product and pay me, and some of them would just send me product. But I was able to furnish my house with these brand deals. And I'm going to tell you why I stopped actually doing brand deals. And it was because I was doing trade-offs. So when you're trying to make more of your money with like monetizing your blog through brand deals, you're generally focused on selling yourself. Meaning you're focusing your time on making your pitches better, creating like emails that entice like brands to actually want to work with you. And it was very similar to kind of like selling a product or service, like you were being a salesman. And I go back to the days when I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. It was my first job out of college. I was basically a pharmaceutical salesperson going to doctors' offices and trying to tell them about, you know, certain information about medications. And I remember I didn't really enjoy necessarily. What you have to realize about sponsored deals is that you are basically trading your time from creating content to actually focus on potentially like just selling yourself on paper and also via email. So what you're doing is essentially like learning how to craft the perfect sales pitch in an email or on a landing page somewhere so that you can sell that to brands to want to work with you. It's a great revenue making stream, don't get me wrong, but again, it's time invested up front. Like I said in my other income reports, it's time invested up front to spend time creating those emails, creating those like leads to these sponsored brands. When you're taking time to try to land a brand deal, what you're actually doing is actually trading the time that you would be creating content to then now selling services to brands and companies that want to work with you. So really, that's what you should know as a content creator. Do you want to spend time on more content creation and then maybe like, you know, run ads, which might hinder the user experience? Or would you rather have a sponsored collaboration and maybe you like negate the ads perspective, but you're getting a lot of money up front? But you're also spending time crafting those emails to land those brand deals. And that's what you have to remember, is that when you're doing brand deals, you're pitching yourself and you're basically being a salesperson for your brand. And that's okay. For me, what I realized is that during the course of like learning how to do sponsored posts, learning how to pitch the perfect email, learning how to then incorporate links from those brand deals naturally and organically so I don't scare my readers, like that was hard for me. And so doing these sponsored brand deals, I mean, it just took a lot of work because then they had to revise your content and review your content. And so those are the things you have to consider. The business trade-off that you're actually doing when you're trying to do and land more brand deals is you're basically ensuring that you're taking time to craft the perfect email, the perfect pitch, basically tracking who you've reached out to, and that's what they call outreach. And then also being able to create content that is organic enough that it's not scaring away your audience so that they feel like you're selling out because of this product, but you're creating content that makes sense to incorporate with your brand and with that brand as well. So what I'm trying to tell you is, do you want to spend time on content creation, which is a slower revenue growth, or do you want to spend time on pitching brands, which is time away from content creation, but it's quick money, right? Do you want to spend time on working with brands, which means that you're spending more time on pitching instead of creating content? It's really all about like, brand deals can be super lucrative. And I'm going to give you like basically an idea of how much you can make just to inspire you on this. These are dollars that I've made with my small blogs. Like I am little fish in this big sea of like sharks. Before I kind of tell you like the tactical things that you need to do, I want to first inspire you so that if you do want to do brand deals, you at least have the knowledge of what it takes to get to that point where you're landing these brand deals. And I'm going to share with you some of the numbers that I have. I won't necessarily share the brands, but if you went to my blog, you'd probably figure it out. But then you also have the other side, which is like the time that was spent in order to curate these partnerships and brand deals so that you have an understanding of what the business trade-off was. When I first got started with sponsored posts, I actually worked with a middleman company, and there are a ton of these middlemen companies that actually work with brands, and then these brands don't have to mess with these individual bloggers to create content. They worked with these middlemen companies who kind of laid out the contract with the bloggers and dealt with the bloggers, and then what they were doing was like capturing metrics and KPIs and all that and sending it back to the brands that actually wanted these partnerships. Okay, so imagine like a brand over here, and then you've got the middlemen who like are working with like thousands of bloggers to create content for them. So let's say a brand was trying to push a product that they released, right? They would work with these agencies, these middlemen basically, to say, hey, I want to get like 50 bloggers to write content about X, and here are the parameters. And then these middlemen agencies would create contracts with each of these bloggers and find the bloggers that made sense. And then they were in charge of like gathering the metrics from the bloggers and then sharing it collectively to the bigger brands. That's how these middlemen agencies work. And I'll link below to the ones that at least I'm aware of so that you guys have an idea of how these brand deals work with agencies. And that's really how I got started, is with these agencies. And these agencies can be good and can be bad, right? Not directly talking to the brands, which sucks because like then you don't have like the email exchange and then the long-term partnership with them. The agencies own that long-term partnership with the brand, but it is a great way to get started. For example, I'm going to tell you and be honest with you, like full transparency on some of the brand deals I've landed. I'll leave out the names, but I remember doing a $100 like oil change blog post on something, and you know, I was like, why am I writing about cars on my lifestyle blog? I don't know, but I did it anyway. It was one of my first brand deals that I actually landed, which I felt really, really good about. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this, you know? And I started taking pictures, and then when I started writing, I was just like, oh my God, this is like taking forever to write about, and how do I like weave this into my brand? And so first lesson I learned there was like, I need to land, even though the money is good, and $100 was good to me at that point as a blogger. I was making zero. So to make $0 or pennies from Google AdSense to like $100 for one blog post was a lot to me. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I did it, and then I learned a lesson. My lesson learned was like, only take brand deals that actually make sense for the blog. And it wasn't because like, I was like, oh, like this totally doesn't match with my brand. It was because it was hard for me to write about an oil change on a lifestyle blog. So there was that. Most of these platforms actually have all of the brand deals that they have that are open and available for writing content or creating content on, and you basically pitch to them. And so they have a field like that says the name of your blog, who the contact person is, and basically they have the product and they say, what's your idea and how would you pitch it? And so you fill that out. You're spending time filling out this form. And so I did that a lot in the first phases of my blog journey. I literally spent like 3 or 4 hours like just pitching like hundreds of ideas for these open brand deals, and I was like spending more time doing that versus creating content. And at the time, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize I was trading content creation time for pitching, and so I was literally spending more time doing more salesy things rather than creating content, which is what I actually loved. And if you don't realize that when you're trying to land brand deals, I want you to know that you're spending time becoming a salesperson versus becoming a content creator. So that is your lesson for this video, okay? And so my progression from an income perspective was $100 for an oil change. Then I went to like $250 for making food recipes with like products that I had to incorporate. Then it was like $1,000 for toilet paper, and I was like, yes, but then it was toilet paper. And it was toilet paper. So when my husband asked me, what am I doing taking photos of toilet paper? That was when I was like, okay, something completely went wrong there, right? But I was like doing well. I learned the skill and the art of pitching yourself, and I learned the skill of like follow-up and emails with brands. And so I was working with these agencies, but I was also working the PR route with individual brands. So the way that I would find like individual contract conversations was I would reach out to the public relations person that was listed on their website, pitch them via email. Sometimes I got an answer back, sometimes I didn't. I had 3 email follow-up sequences that I would send out, and I had like this Airtable spreadsheet that I basically followed through with. And then basically I realized I was spending a lot of time doing these sponsored deals. In doing those recipe vlogs, I was also spending a lot of time creating content for someone else. Like I literally was taking pictures of like cans of food, and then I had the image in front of it, and I was spending time creating content for them and not for my brand. And so that to me was like a turning point also in my blogging career, that like I don't want to trade time for money, because that's what I was doing. I was trading my time to create this content, and obviously it had some residual like evergreen content in there. Hindsight, I was spending a lot of time curating content for a brand, and I was taking pictures for the brand, and generally like I want it to be organic, but like if you're trying to push a product, it can't be that organic, you know? It's not organic, it's like syndicated content. At the end of the day, I didn't like the fact that I was like trading time for money. That's what it seemed like. Sure, there's like residual like income from any ads that you run after you do that sponsored post, but it wasn't like content that I really, really loved and wanted to promote on other social media platforms. So that's one thing to consider too, is like, do you want to trade time for money? Because you already traded time to go do like the outreach. You already spent time curating the content specifically for the brand and having them review it. That time, that's a lot of time, right? Sending the content for a review by the brand, negotiating the changes. There's also time that has to be considered for working with the brand. The brand has to review the content and proofread and send edits back, and there's this back and forth that you have to consider, and that is time that you have to account for, versus if you created content yourself, like with a blog post that is being monetized through ad revenue, like it's your content. You can do whatever you want and format however you want and review it and approve it and like publish it. But with brand deals, you have to let them review the content before it goes out, unless you have like this crazy awesome contract, which you should, where you only approve like 2 edits or whatever in order to save and spare you time. That is one thing to consider. Okay, so I've told you guys about my $1,000 like blog post on toilet paper. Then I got these brand deals where it made sense, where I was being shipped clothes for my kids, like literally shipped clothes for free for my kids, and some of them were paid and some of them weren't. One of the biggest brand deals I had for my kids was like a $2,000 brand deal. For this $2,000 brand deal, all I had to do was take photos of my kids in these jackets and then like basically show it on my blog. That brand deal actually made sense to me because I was a mom of 4, and then I was sharing like where I get kids clothes, and the clothes were cute, and I would obviously love to work with this brand because it was a well-known brand and I love them. So that's all I had to do, and I was totally okay with that. And that's where I realized like, wow, like that's the potential of brand deals with companies. And then I kind of shifted and I was like, okay, that makes sense. And so I started curating my content a little bit, making sure that it made sense for the brand deals that I wanted. And so I started doing a lot more DIY projects. And then I started landing deals for furnishing my house, which is crazy, right? So I got brand deals for doing window treatments around the house, and they sent me like these really expensive window treatments. Like it was like $3,000 worth of window treatment. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. This is insane. Like I got this for free, and all we you had to do was install it and take video and pictures, and I was totally for that. So that was an awesome brand deal. And then the biggest one was like $6,000 worth of like hardwood floors, which is incredible. Like they sent me hardwood floors, and my husband DIY'd that project. And so that was my journey of doing brand deals. And like behind the scenes, right, when you're DIYing your own floors, when you're installing your own windows, I mean, that is work that you're doing. And so you have to account for that. For example, right now I have a brand deal where it's on the table. They would send me really expensive fabric, and then I would do my outdoor DIY cushion. And they have asked me to use their fabrics in some of my projects. And that fabric is really expensive fabric. It's like $30 a yard, okay? It's for outdoor furniture. And I'm just going in my head, you know, I'm a mom of 4, we've got the holidays coming up, and I need to go sew these cushions, but it's, you know, $600-700 worth of like fabric, but it's gonna take me like 4 hours to go do this project and then record it and all that stuff. Is that worth it to me? And right now, my answer is no. Like, it's not worth it to me. And so I'm either going to pitch them back and say, hey, with this fabric, you should also give me money in order to do this. I would say that in a nicer way, obviously, but that's what's going in my head. And so that's why I try not to do a lot of brand deals anymore, unless it's something I truly love, and unless it's like something where like it's just coming to me instead of me like reaching out. And this company actually just emailed me, and I think they emailed me because of my YouTube videos on my lifestyle channel, as well as through my organic search content for my lifestyle blog, and that's how they're reaching out to me. So what's different about this partnership is that they reached out to me. Like, I wasn't seeking them out. My blog has evolved so that my content is being discovered on various platforms without me doing a lot of work on it. And there's a point in every blogger's journey where if they've been doing a lot of outreach and also organic content and doing it well, there's a point where you're not having to reach out to brands, like brands are finding you. But that is very rare as well, and sometimes it's the luck of the draw, if I'm being quite honest. Like, some of these companies that have reached out to me were because either I joined a agency, and then my profile was just out there, even though I hadn't updated my profile in a long time. Like, they were looking for something that was like quick turnaround time, and so they would reach out to those agencies to work with me, or they would reach out to me directly because they saw my videos on YouTube. So that is one thing you should consider as a content creator. So the lesson from that is that, like, if you create enough organic content, right, and you are starting to be noticed on certain platforms without you having to do a lot of like push and outreach and all that, chances are brands will start finding you organically as well. And so that is one thing to consider. I hope this transparency helped you guys. I know I kind of rambled a little bit on sponsored deals, but you guys can understand like where I'm at in my journey, and then hopefully that helps you because of my transparency on landing these brand deals. Because at the end of the day, the reason why I stopped doing a lot of brand deals was because it was just taking more time for me to kind of pitch myself and like my services and all that versus spending time creating content. I feel like creating content, at least I can say I'm done with this content and start like sharing it versus having to go back and forth and pitching deals. I will tell you that brand deals can be super lucrative. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I had a 4 or 5 figure brand deal lay into my inbox and it made sense for my blog or my channel, I would definitely consider it. But what I realize is that my readers are really, really important, and my viewers are really important. And so I think there was a turning point for me where I understood that like the readership and the audience is super important. And so that brand has to match with my audience, and I have to understand how to weave their product into that world in order for it to make sense. And if it doesn't, I'm not gonna do the brand deal. But at the end of the day, if you truly want to start doing brand deals, what you need to focus on is your pitch. How are you going to do outreach? How are you going to do follow-up? And basically crafting the perfect email or conversation to land a brand deal. That really is it, my friends. Like, but you're also trading that time that you're landing these brand deals for being able to create content that could also be discoverable and in the future could also land you brand deals. So with brand deals, it's almost like you're doing short-term gains at the expense of long-term gains. And that's okay. Like, if your short-term gain will gain you like 10 grand versus your long-term gain, which gains you 10 grand over the course of 10 years, that might be a good trade-off. But I want you to know that that's the trade-off that you're making when you're creating these brand deals with these companies. So I mentioned those agencies, so I'm gonna go ahead and link to a blog post where I share some of the agencies that I work with and an idea of what you can expect. I'm not doing brand deals anymore unless they reach out to me and the product makes sense for my audience. So go ahead and link down to the companies that I worked with before, just so that you guys have an idea of what to expect. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to leave a comment below. As content creators, we spend a lot of time thinking of new ideas, trying to be more creative in our processes and all this jazz, right? But at the end of the day, I'm trying to save you guys time and understand the business value and the business trade-offs that you're making when these ideas come up. And so that's what I really want to share with you guys in this video. And if you guys like content like this, make sure you click on the subscribe to get notifications the next time I create new videos. Bye guys.